Well, there's no doubt that this current American election is actually going to greatly influence the markets. No doubt. No doubt. And I'm going to title this video Trump Wins 2016. Now, Trump is actually trying to return America to a time when, and I had my suspicions of him initially because he was so buddy buddy with the Clintons, but I don't know. I guess he was playing a game with the Clintons, and telling them like, "Oh yeah, you're great," and probably couldn't stand them because something isn't jiving right. But Trump is actually a guy that he has been consistent with the American first stuff. That's what I figured. And that is totally at odds with the globalists and what they're trying to do with the United States and meld us into a new world order, have corporations run our country, own us, micromanage every bit of our lives, and extract every bit of our efforts and put it in their pockets. Trump's actually going to bring us back to a time when, men weren't afraid to stand on their own 2 feet and broads were hot. So, and if you see what his wife, his wife is going to be the finest looking first lady we ever had. That's for sure. If he ever makes it, I think he's going to win the popular vote. It's just that I don't know if there's going to pull both the Republican and you know what? I know for you people out there that are thinking like this doesn't matter, doesn't have anything to do with the markets and silver. Bull shit. Okay, it does have everything in the world to do with it because right now they are actually openly saying that if Trump wins, oh, the markets are going to be upset. They're actually saying this, and I'm saying, you know what? This markets are BS. Ever since they created these markets, um, there's been shenanigans going on, and then when they got more electronics and web bots trading with each other, it's gotten worse. It's been one thing back in the 30s and 40s, the way it was. Yeah, there was corruption, but the way it's gotten today, the markets are basically. I mean, I hate to almost use that cliche word, rigged, but they are. They are. It's like the whole markets are created. It's artificial. There's so much trading going back and forth between each other that aren't actual real people traders. There's web bot programs doing everything. So I always look at it like this: you got to really stay with the real. Silver's the real. In other words, not don't when you don't put your money in or your savings in from all your hard labor, because that's where people that listen to my channel get their money from. Hard labor. They don't get it from. They're not part of the freaking banking system. You don't want to put it back in with these guys that freaking rake some percentage off the top. And so, my thing is go old school all the way. Um, but I think if Trump actually does win, oh man, I'm telling you the obvious here with the because I look at him not as a Ronald Reagan because I think Ronald Reagan was a sellout. I think of him as a JFK. He's a guy that they're going to try to whack. So we're not out of the woods, man. It's like if Trump wins, we're like halfway up the chain link fence. We're not on the other side. We still got to run a few miles to get away from the bullshit. So, but when I'm looking at what happens with these markets, even if Hillary Clinton got in, there's going to be it's even that is going to be good for gold and silver. Why? Because she's going to screw up the entire world. Her policies she's unlike Obama is like a Muslim guy. He's going against Israel's interest. He's going against a lot of people's interest, even the oil company interest in this country. But he, the thing is, he was not actively seeking to create a war in the Middle East. Hillary would. And if there's a major conflagration in the Middle East, well, you can guarantee you that oil prices are going to go way the hell up and gold prices and silver. Now, there were some interesting predictions back about a month ago that if the oil rigs closings keep going at the rate they've been going for the last year, there'd be zero oil rigs operating in this country by August of 2016 of this year, right? Well, lo and behold, you can see the oil prices are now over $40 a barrel. Still damn low, but they're moving up. What happened to, oh, it's going to go to $20. What happened to silver going to $8 to $10? Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Not at all. Not at all. You know, it's pretty close to 16, and we had Palladium close over 600. Actually, I've been one of the few people talking about Palladium. I know some people bought it at the wrong time, but then again, you're not going to screw up with Palladium within a couple of years because the tensions with Russia are going to go sky high, and most, you know, I'm one of the few talking about Palladium, but let me tell you this also. Well, we're looking at this picture of actually what's going on in this picture. I'll tell you, this is an old time thing, and just to remind you the way things were back when, you know, you didn't go to the supermarket and get your prepackaged food and all this type of stuff in cans. You went over to the farm, buy your turkey or goose, pick your own. Pick your own. So you went over there with the motorcycle and the sidecar, and the guy met you out there with a couple of turkeys in his arm. You go, hey, which one you want? And you did everything on your own, man. It's probably going to come down in that situation again. I'm telling you, man. And you know, when it really boils down to something, when you need to eat first. And for all of the wealth we could talk about with gold and silver, I'm going to say this: that you look back to the old Roman axiom, going all the way back, looking back, almost, well, I'll say 1,500 years ago, when Rome was invaded and they got the barbarians captured the port of Ostia. They cut off all the shipments coming into Rome up the river, Tiber, whatever it is, Tiberia, whatever the hell that was. Um, I forgot the name of the river. Doing this off of memory. But you know what? People would trade all their gold and all their jewelry, and all their crude wealth for the coarsest bread that they, just because they were starving, that they would turn their nose up at before. I'm going to tell you right now, even though I'm talking on the silver channel here, I think silver is a great investment. It's going to do very well. And I'm going to talk about some other things on this after I tell you this, just remind you. Number one is going to be food. Food is going to be something you can actually mine yourself. You can create your mine with a garden. It's going to be like gold. Not many people are doing it, and if you're not creating it, you should be storing it long term. No doubt about it. Looking back, you're going to find out this is going to, even if there's no food shortage, the food prices are going to go way up. I think that if you look at these charts, I'm not going to put some charts up here, but if you look at these charts on oil, oil is probably going to exceed $200 a barrel. It sounds crazy, and I'm not telling you to go invest in it because I don't know if you could trust these electronic markets. You might want to maybe store some diesel fuel or something. That might be better. I'm going to tell you that it is going to go that high. If you look at it's just the classic waves, the way things. I looked at it before. It's just taking a long time for it to happen. I think there's going to be a major blow up in the Middle East. It might happen in Syria. It might be a couple years from now, and the markets are going to go crazy. You know, and it's good that the markets go crazy, but you don't want them going too crazy, because I don't want any kind of civil unrest in this country. I'd rather have it there be peace, and you know the streets are safe and no problems, and you make a lot of money on gold and silver, and you can trade it for another hard asset. You know, I don't like things too crazy. Just like, you know, you like your girls insane, but you don't like them batshit crazy, right? You like them a little crazy, right? You don't want them too unpredictable. You know, don't hand them the butter knife, and you got to worry about it. So anyway, um, now I also looked at the charts with, and I'm not presenting charts here. I'm just telling you, but there is some really rosy picture with when you're looking at the gold silver ratio. And you know, right now it is pretty terrible at 80 to 1, but that has been a traditional point of resistance, and when it hits 80 to 1, it starts reversing the other way. Now I know there's people out there that are telling people that gold is going to be silver is going to be over 50. They were telling you this last month. 50 over 50 people were telling the people this, that silver is going to be over $50 an ounce by June this year, and they were talking another ludicrous amounts by the end of 2016. I think if you look at that chart with the gold silver ratio, it seems to go every few years. There's an inverse. maybe it will take a few years. And um, that probably corresponds a lot more with, how long it's going to take Russia to get stronger, where they might try some stuff in the Middle East against Syria. And I know I'm not going to talk politics here, but, I think the real big blow up whereby gold goes to the moon is there's going to be a major, major conflict in the Middle East. I've been saying this all along. And when that happens, oil prices are going to be astronomically high. Gas in the car is going to be $8, $10 a gallon, and all this kind of crap. And we're probably going to go electric cars and Google cars and crap. But at that time, when things are high like that, gold is going to be high, silver is going to be high, and hard assets like real estate, land, buildings, um, classic cars, classic motorcycles, furniture, big ticket appliances are going to be cheap, and even things like machinery and stuff. Now, even if Hillary Clinton got in office, now I don't think she's going to win by, because this election actually does have big bearing on what's going to happen to markets. If Trump gets in initially, they're going to if he just wins the election, they're going to crash the markets. They're going to say the markets are reacting to the Trump, you know, being nominated for president now because he won the election. They're going to do that, and because the markets are rigged. But if Two-Face Hillary gets in, um, that might not happen initially, but she's such a warmonger that it will happen eventually because she's going to have a real hard line policy in the Middle East. She's going to create no-fly zones over Syria. Um, she's going to be like a pit bull on a leash, man. She's going to be going after everything. Not that I don't totally disagree with her on some of those things, but Trump actually isn't going to do that. But either way, I guess, it's in the cards that silver and gold are going to be going up. But what's going to be going up even more than silver and gold is probably food. And I talked about this before. I'm probably the only one that's talking about it on the Silver Channel. Is that the climate, we're going into what you call is a mini ice age. I know people say no, 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 but it's pretty much a proven fact that every 206 years we go into a mini ice age. We're probably going into the 412-year pattern, like the not the Maunder minimum, but the Dalton minimum, and it's going to be cold enough for a lot of crop failures, which on top of the currency crisis and the fact that the banks are doing going to be doing QE4 now, and they're talking about negative interest rates even here in the United States. They got negative interest rates in Europe. What really is going to freaking be I think it's more than just a straw that breaks the camel's back. It's going to be more like a brick that breaks the camel's back. Is going to be this change in the climate due to lower solar output. I know some people never heard of this stuff before, but if you want to look up John Casey, Cold Sun, former expert out of NASA on this subject. He's based in Orlando, Florida. It does have everything in the world to do with how it affects the economy, because discretionary spending is greatly affected by food prices and energy prices. A lot of times energy prices will raise food prices, but that affects the entire economy. So when silver and gold go up, usually oil's high, usually food's high. So, you might not just want to invest in shiny silver coins, you might want to just also invest in food. Um, this pendulum happens in normal cycles at times. It's not like the end of the world. I know there's people out there preaching that everything's going to fail, everything's going to freaking fall apart. There's going to be mass calamities, and if you got a pile of silver, you're just going to walk around and buy everything in the world. You're going to be filthy rich, and the world's going to be great just for you, and everybody else is going to everywhere else life is going to suck. Well, you don't want it to go that way, tell you the truth. But you want things to stay pretty sane. And personally, if I had my way, the way this shit would work, I'd rather have like silver, gold, platinum, and palladium go way the hell up, and everything else go down, or just stay the same. So, without affecting the food prices or the energy prices. But it's not going to happen that way. Um, I know a lot of times people are freaking putting out like you're going to get filthy rich off freaking metals and stuff, and it's going to save you, and the earth's going to freaking fall in. These people have been around since a long time now, for actually several years. I've been around a few years doing this, but you know, I do have an accounting background, and I'm a guy that's not going to wear a suit and tie and present this information to you. I'm just going to tell it to you right off the cuff. But if I wanted to do something whereby I was playing a game to look for money, to get clients, and have people pay me money for advice, I'd work full time in a CPA firm again. Or I would work for construction accounting, even though that's pretty much down right now, but that's not down in every area. It's not. It's down in the smaller residential areas, not down in large commercial. Some of the larger commercial areas in prime real estate. Um, Actually, after watching Donald Trump, I just want to say a side note. I watched Donald Trump to give some testimony, and I watched this whole 53 minutes of him giving testimony about the UN building in New York and some of the construction that went on that people were getting ripped off to Congress back in 2005. Boy, that guy is smart. He's smarter than anybody I ever worked for in construction. And I work for some pretty damn smart people. I always thought, like, how the hell does these people remember all this bullshit? This guy, man, he's got like a walking encyclopedia in his head about all kinds of statistics and square footage costs and all this kind of garbage about construction. And it's kind of interesting listening to him because that was my field, but it was a little alien because it was a lot alien actually because he's talking about New York City construction, and I'm not familiar with that at all, in the least. It's quite a bit different, but kind of gave me a little more insight to him because I was a little worried about him, but now I'm a little worried about him because I think they want to get rid of him, and we got both the Republicans and Democrats against him. But if he gets in, they are going to crash the markets. They're going to crash the markets, and they're blaming on him. They're looking for something to blame the crash of the markets for. They'll blame it on Trump because he won. I'm like, get the hell. But I guess you know what? People are probably not buying this bullshit no more. You know, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. So whatever. We'll just let it slide. But you know, one of the things I always said, Dad, is like when you invest in silver, you're not giving your money to these damn suits. And I got a problem with some of the suits. I mean, well, I got more of a problem with some of the suits on YouTube, to tell you the truth, man. Not the ones I work with, so so much. Like they are smarter. Um, they actually have a lot of credentials. So some of these people on freaking Y2, actually I do this more for fun than anything. But I'm trying to give you some common sense because if silver did go to like, let me put it this way. Here we're sitting back on a Triumph motorcycle and looking at the old babe here. Um, we have silver's at 80 to 1 ratio to gold, right? Is it really impossible for gold to go to $2,000 an ounce? No, not really. It can go probably a lot higher than that, but say $2,000 an ounce, is that really that impossible? No, no, not at all. Considering what could possibly happen in the Middle East, and it wasn't far away from $2,000 an ounce, right? Now, if silver was hit 20 to 1, 20 to 1, and that's not that unreasonable to a silver to gold ratio, let's put it at $100. Now, I'm not going to tell you to wait for $100 because I don't know. Personally, me, if that thing starts going up over 50, I'm going to start selling that stuff. I might be selling it too early. I might be wrong, but I'm going to be looking around for the next asset, and I'm probably going to be getting land and up in the mountains and shit like that. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not looking to freaking take over the earth. A lot of people look like they want a quick, easy solution, and we're going to get all the secret information off of YouTube, and we're going to know exactly what to do when to click that button, and we just sit back and ya la la. Nah, 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 nah. Let's hope it doesn't get that crazy where silver gets that freaking high, because if it does go, the people that are preaching thousands of dollars or $100 an ounce, if something like that happened like that, oh God, you're going to have to be walking around with a bulletproof vest or something because you're going to be living a dangerous life. There's going to be major calamity in the United States if it got that crazy where silver went that high. Just don't hope for it to go that damn high. I personally would like to have it go pretty damn high and everything stay nice and smooth. And I hope when Trump gets in office, um, if they crash the markets, everybody recognizes that it's the web bots that did it, and they get pissed off at the rigged system rather than Trump. But I can almost guarantee you that if he gets in office, they're already telling us what they're going to do. They're going to crash the markets. Does that mean gold and silver are going to go down? Probably not. The more uncertainty in the world, I think actually Hillary is probably going to be the best thing. If she got in, the bright side of the deal is she's probably going to be the best thing for gold and silver because there's going to be major uncertainty in the world. Um, I don't even think the elite are going to be freaking happy with her because she's too unpredictable. And when she decides to just do whatever the hell she feels like, well, who knows what they're going to do about that. Um, but let me just say that use a lot of common sense with this stuff because, for the most part, I kind of do this for fun. I can tell you first off, when people were even talking about silver mining and just, you know, I almost kind of went off on a tangent one time with the cash cost with silver mining, and I said, cash cost? What the hell's cash cost? I never heard that. I knew what they meant, you know. I mean, I figured bare bones operating cost, but someone, David Morgan, was talking about cash cost. He said it was an accounting term, something like. I said, it's not an accounting term. So I went over to my boss, when we were at lunch one time. And I says, you ever heard the term cash cost? He looks at me like, what? What? This guy's got, every degree in the world. He's been in a CPA for 40 years. He runs the firm with boutique, um, investment house. He's got a degree in law. He's a Series 7. And he's like, you know, David Morgan saying this term cash cost. So I called him out on that, and I'm getting hit on the internet for like, yeah, that's a term they use. Well, they don't use it. Maybe somebody uses it in the mining industry that's not an accountant, but it means. I guess they were talking about the bare bones operating costs, but you know, they have drive. Let me just say this: they have driven down the cost of silver so low that they're not even staying afloat on just the bare bones operating cost. Like, in other words, when you have an operation like mining, like I've seen some of the operations, it is like construction in some ways because you got a lot of capital expenditures up front. Also, energy is a big part of your operating cost, so that helps with the operating cost. But then, where you could be running a operating loss and still have some cash flow is because you would have, say, a loan from a bank, and you have like an interest reserve, and the interest reserve is, say, I don't know, $500,000 for interest reserve, and every time there's interest due to the bank, it actually increases the loan, and it comes out of the interest reserve. So you could take up to, say, $500,000 out of the interest reserve, and then you expense that interest every month. But that's not money coming out of your pocket. It's actually being paid for out of the loan through an interest reserve. But on your P&L, your profit and loss statement, it's showing a loss. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's cash out of your pocket. And other things, like you might have, equipment that you bought and all the infrastructure, and it's got a depreciation schedule. It could be makers or straight line or whatever the hell it is. Modified accelerated depreciation, whatever the hell it makers. I forgot the hell what that was again. But you'll be having you'll be having depreciation expense, but that's not money coming out of your pocket. So you could be running a major loss, and you could still have some kind of cash flow. So because really what comes out of um, your operating, what your operating margin is just your operating expenses. So that's what they talk about with cash costs. But you know, I look at like how low it is today with the price of silver. It's so damn low that they're going under anyway. And it can't survive that long because a lot of times these loans are going to be due on, you know, what they need to be, like, in other words, that interest reserve that they keep pulling the money out of, whatever's out there, like, it's increasing the loan, it's increasing the loan, and it's got an actual schedule of, say, 4 or 5 years, and it's supposed to be paid down at different times with the proceeds from the sale of whatever's mined out of the ground. And you know they're not paying it down. So, and when the loan expires, guess what happens? The bank takes over everything, right? They do that with everything. They do that with any big project. They do that with mines. They do it with. They're doing it with these oil rigs, and that is why the prices go up and down, and that is why they manipulate them up and down. That's actually something that I'm dropping. I don't know if I lost people on this, but I'm actually dropping a major, not just a dime, but a manhole cover. This is exactly why they're manipulating prices up and down. People are thinking they manipulate prices up and down. I should make a separate video on this, but I'm just talking off the top of my head. But I do have a lot of knowledge in the accounting area and what they do and why the kind of game. It's not accounting. The kind of games that are being played in the markets and why they're being played so they could take over these mining companies and oil rigs for pennies on a dollar. So when they drive the prices down, you know, you got all this bad paper. In other words, the loans to the oil rig companies, whatever, and they don't pay them back. They get taken over for pennies on a dollar by the bank. And somebody buys up all that stuff cheap. And everybody that worked on that gets screwed. You know, they might have pensions, they had all their time involved in there, all their sweat equity. They don't get a damn dime. Then, all of a sudden, the markets go back up. But I'm going to tell you right now, the market cycles like the way they got in commodities going up and down like that so hard, and even in agriculture, are definitely not purely natural cycles. They're manipulated. And they do that so they can deliberately crush out the people that actually created the wealth and steal it from them. It's not just a matter of I'm going to short the market and I'm going to make money that way. No, they want the actual capital goods that these people actually created. You know, so that's what they're doing. All right. I kind of figured I'd throw that in here because I want some people having some more insight on some things and why it's going like this. And I look at it like this. One reason I really, really, really like physical metals and things, or in other things like that. I mean, I'll invest in S-Wing hatchet and X or something, and S-Wing machete, right? Or tools from Armstrong or whatever, made in the USA. I do not want to have. I want to have a small amount of money invested with these pricks in Wall Street that are playing these shenanigans. Because no matter how cute they talk, and you know they could be waving the American flag up on top of their Wall Street building and all that kind of crap, the only thing they're interested in is screwing you. And they put it to the farmers, they put it to the miners, and they put it to the construction people. Actually, Donald might be in trouble financially coming in the upcoming years because he's been on a big high recently because of the type of real estate he's been invested in has been going up exponentially. Not real estate in general, but the type of prime commercial real estate. No matter how smart you are, you get caught. Just like Harold Halm with the guy that was $50 billion net worth, and he's the guy that with the big shale oil industry boom. He's got caught in a crunch too. No matter how good they are, there's that guy in Brazil with the oil, whatever the hell his name was. He's supposedly going to be the richest guy in the world. It turned out You might be going to jail because it turned out it didn't work out that way. So no matter even how smart you are, you could get screwed up. Yeah, that's Bill Ackman, right? So let me tell you this: that don't get greedy because that's really one of the biggest things that could screw you up. As long as you make money, you might kick yourself in the ass and say, "Oh, I sold it too soon." I personally am not waiting for some pie in the sky freaking crazy amount of price. And I can tell you right now, although some people are going to get mad at me saying I'm being mean spirited or something, I'm not going along with I'm not working with the other guys or some shit. I'm not actually, for real. But there's a lot of people out there trying to set people up for the kill next time again. Just like with these two turkeys, this guy's holding over here selling to the ladies. They're going to be telling you silver's going to be going up to $500 an ounce, $1,000 an ounce, and maybe it'll go up to 70, 75. I don't know. And since they're coming out of the woodwork recently, and I know there's a lot of people subbing these people, um, I look at, it's the same deal before. You know, I don't even want to mention it anymore because I mentioned it several times before, but there was people that were like the top silver people that were telling everybody where silver's going to be, price, and all this garbage. They sold silver on Thursday, I think it was April 28th, 2011, at the exact height, and they were telling people it was going to go over 100. It never did, went over 50. So these are the same people everybody's following around today, because maybe these are new people. I don't know. So let me just tell you that as long as you make some money and Trump gets in, he's not going to cause the markets to collapse. They're going to cause the markets to collapse and use him as an excuse. They're throwing everything they can at this guy. And actually, the more they do that, the more people are getting on the bandwagon. Crap, even my sister, who's been a lifetime Democrat, I've been a lifetime Republican. She went Republican because she wants to know what the hell's going on with this guy. Why do they hate him so much? It's like, whoa, man, that surprised the hell out of me. So anyway, let me just tell you that, you know, be careful about greed because greed will bite you in the ass. Be careful, but be careful more. Be even more careful about what your next move is, because when silver gets too high, I know people say, "Oh, we need to change it from fiat." Well, fiat's going to be the thing you got to have to buy something else, because that's our currency in this country. It doesn't mean you hold it and stick it in a mattress or something. If you want, land might be depressed at that time. You might want to get a all new kitchen set or something that might be like on real cheap on sale because nobody's buying that because they don't have any money. Maybe living room furniture, maybe new house, maybe new cars or whatever. I don't know. They may be giving them away practically. So that's what you might want to do, right? And that's typically how things happen. You have inflation in energy, food, and precious metals, and commodities in general. And the big ticket items, it's deflation. Maybe I shouldn't use that word deflation, but nobody's got money to pay for them. And you probably will if you kept your money in an asset that's going to be going up at that time. These other things are going down. But again, be careful about the food. Because remember that story about, it was the Tiber River, or Tiber River, I think it was in Rome. It goes up there from the port of Ostia. Yeah, they blocked the port of Ostia, and they couldn't get the money, the goods up the river, and everybody's starving. They had plenty of gold and silver and wampum and all that other stuff, but they traded all that for the coarsest bread. So, some of the people, like, that's something that even Jim Rogers says, and I think he's probably right, because nobody wants to get their hands dirty and do a lot of work. Farming's a lot of work, and you don't have to have a whole farm, but you might, even if you don't have a whole farm, you want to garden, but if you don't even have that, you might want to store some food and invest some money in food storage for long term. So hopefully I gave you some good common sense advice here. And beware of, well, do whatever you want. Because, I look at these guys that are pumping up this. Well, let me tell you this. If these guys make everybody freaking think that silver is going to go to $500 an ounce and it doesn't, it's going to help me sell my silver to the guy at the silver place because he'll pay that money because he's going to sell it to some other schmuck. you know? Yeah, Rudy warned you. All right.